If you're someone out there suffering with autoimmune conditions, and there's so many of them nowadays, my goodness, I think the world is up to almost 200 autoimmune conditions. So you may have been diagnosed with one, you may have been diagnosed with multiple, you may think you have an autoimmune but not been diagnosed yet. Well, we have solutions for you. I've been in practice now for almost 30 years, and there's some things that are being missed tremendously when it comes to autoimmune conditions. So what I would encourage you to do is watch this interview. I think you're going to really enjoy it. It's going to give you some hope, and it's going to also explain to you some things that are missing with this particular condition that need to be addressed. So I hope you enjoy.
Hello, I am here with Dr. Chris Cormier, and today we're going to be talking about autoimmune diseases. So Dr. Cormier, when patients come to you with an autoimmune diagnosis, what do they say hasn't made sense about how their body has changed?
Most of them are just confused. They're kind of bewildered. They're stuck in a system that is not giving them answers, not getting them any results, and they're just going from doctor to doctor a lot of times, not knowing what to do next.
At that point, what are they most afraid of hearing or possibly even not hearing from other specialists?
That it's going to be a permanent condition, that there's no potential solution for it, that they're going to be on medication for life, multiple medication, even when the medications aren't working. And they're just scared. The body is just, they know their body's not functioning properly and don't know where to go.
Why do autoimmune symptoms often migrate instead of resolving?
It's based on cells. So you remember your body has about 30 trillion cells, which is a crazy number. We think of autoimmune a lot different than other people. Most people think that it's the healthy cells in the body. Most people think that the body is attacking itself and they need to shut down the immune system and in order to get the body to heal. But that's the reverse of what's truly happening. I believe that the body is protecting itself. So in other words, there's healthy cells, unhealthy cells, and dying cells. The more of those nasty, toxic cells that are in your body that are there, the healthy cells get scared. So they actually start trying to kill off the bad cells. That's essentially what autoimmune is. It's more for protection. It is a flaw in the immune system.
Another question is, why do flare-ups frequently follow stress or illness, trauma, or exhaustion?
Yeah, so when it comes to those 30 trillion cells, each person, while they're living on planet Earth, has to undergo all the different stresses we have. And there's physical stress, there's emotional stress, there's environmental stress. And oh my goodness, don't even get me started in the environment today. I mean, pollutants, toxins, additives, preservatives, 5G, Wi-Fi, it's so much in today's world. It's not going away. And so those stresses at any given moment, they can make cell groups in the body start to lose their health, and those cells start to get sick.
Many patients are told your immune system is attacking you. Why doesn't that explanation fully account for what they feel day to day?
It's mentioned before, it's not exactly that. I don't think that's what it is. I think it's the body protecting itself from getting hijacked by all these nasty cells. And so the route we take is different in about pursuing more healthy cells in the body rather than turning the immune system off.
What early warning signs of nervous system overload are commonly dismissed and just, oh, it's autoimmune?
Yeah, so you can have aches or pains. You have energy problems, brain fog, fatigue, all these. You can even have digestive issues, and really sometimes they start in just one area, right? These symptoms do. And if you don't take care of those cells, just think about those cells. They're when you have a complaint in a certain area, if cells don't get properly healed and they don't go back to their full healthy state, then they'll stay sick. And the more groups you have of those cells, it turns into more and more problematic cells throughout the body, and then that's what turns into these types of autoimmune conditions.
When someone with autoimmune disease walks into your clinic, what do you notice immediately that their labs or imaging might not show?
So the first thing we do with our patients that come to see us at the Nerve Health Institute is we do a full history, and we get to know all the different experiences that they've had in life. Remember, we have 30 trillion cells. Nobody's born with a perfect set of cells, of perfectly healthy cells. Everybody has genetic defects. And so from the moment you start living, you have these physical stresses, emotional stresses, environmental stresses. So we got to go through that history as good as we can and try to form a frame for that patient to see all the different stresses that they've incurred. And then go into a very detailed neurological examination. And this is the way we start to check cells, and this is why we're so radically different, because the brain, remember, this is your power company here, and the brain is wired to all these cells, which is crazy to think about. We're this big, giant, networks, and those nerves lose connection or power to groups of cells. Well, we have a method where we check the 88 nerves coming off the brain and spinal cord, and those 88 nerves are like big power lines, and those power lines branch in all the way to microscopic, and they go to all the cells. So we have a method where we check the power. That's how we start with a patient. We check the power in the nervous system, and it's like a power check, and in the brains to feel where it was weak, and then the brain starts to heal.
Oh, definitely a different approach, so that's amazing. Why does the nervous system stay locked in defense long after the original trigger might have passed?
Yeah, so there's two sides of the nervous system. One is sympathetic and one is parasympathetic. And those are big words, but sympathetic means fight or flight. It means worried, fearful, anxiety. You have to have that side of your nervous system, but the other side is parasympathetic. And so parasympathetic is calming, relaxing, sleeping, digestive. And so two sides, you have to have both sides. Most of our patients that are stuck with autoimmune conditions, they've had so many unhealthy cells for so many years that the nervous system stays locked in sympathetic. And this healing side, it has trouble going to that healing side.
Why does the body react before logic, reassurance, and treatment adjustments can make effort?
So the body is naturally designed to heal itself, and Big Pharma doesn't want you to believe that at all. But it literally is a made design body that when you have a cut, it should heal, and you shouldn't even see a scar if those cells are healthy. But if they're not, then a different result happens. Maybe there's a big scar, maybe the cut won't heal. And that's just a superficial example, but you can imagine the trillions of tiny microscopic cells in the body, and if groups of them are unhealthy, they get diseased.
What actually changes when an autoimmune affected nervous system begins to feel safe again?
The person feels tremendously better. They start to have all these aches and pains go away. And not just aches and pains, the brain fog goes away, the fatigue goes away. They're able to do their normal day-to-day activities. We have some that are so bad that they'll end up paralyzed from an autoimmune condition, or we have some that end up disabled because they can't work anymore. We have some that go do one of their hobbies, like play tennis or whatever it is. So we're able to get those people to do those things again. Maybe it's picking up a grandchild or picking up a child. Those things, we want people to be able to get back to their normal routine. And literally it's just trying to turn the body's self-healing back on and get the body to heal itself.
Autoimmune disease is labeled as like a self-attack. How often is that label describing what is happening but not why?
So again, I've mentioned it already, but I'm gonna go through again. It's protecting itself with autoimmune conditions. So suppressing the immune system like the conventional side does, I don't believe that route at all. I believe that we have to chase the health cells and literally go after each cell group that we find that's not healthy and get those cells healthy again. And something to say is a lot of what we do here doesn't show up on a MRI, for instance, because you can't see the energy flowing through a nerve on an MRI. You can have a pinched nerve, but that nerve's functioning just fine. And you have an unpinched nerve, and that nerve, the power supply, the power line's not working. So it's of like keeping this thing connected as possible to your parts and restoring all the basics to cells.
Amazing. In your experience, how often is immune dysfunction downstream of chronic nervous system deregulation?
So with the nervous system, for me, it's the average person we see that comes in our clinic. We test the major nerves in the beginning. We do kind of a power check of your nervous system, and the average person's in the 30s. And it doesn't matter whether they're a child, or an adult. But I always tell people that nerve health is so important, and cell health is so important. Like, you want to think of your brain to your cells. That's ultimately what we're doing is getting your power company back. But the sooner people start getting their nervous system checked, it's way more important than your teeth. And I'm not knocking your teeth, but your nerves are infinitely more important than anything else. So you should be having your nervous system checked your whole life, because otherwise it's impossible to go through living on planet Earth without all kinds of power outages.
What happens when autoimmune disease is treated purely as an immune error instead of a prolonged threat response?
That's just treating the symptom and not the actual root cause. So those people oftentimes don't really feel much better, and stay on this wheel of just, drugs where it is there, and they just don't feel better.
Why can suppression reduce markers while the body continues to feel unstable?
Exactly what we've talked about already is if they try on the conventional side to suppress the immune system, it's not the actual root cause. So of course those symptoms are going to stay there, and they're never going to really get fixed because the cells never really got fixed. They're in one part of the body and trying to depress it to temporarily alter symptoms, but that doesn't fix the root cause of why those cells got sick in the first place.
You work with a lot of frequency-based therapies in autoimmune labeled cases. What is the body actually responding to?
Yeah, so frequency is so cool. It's one of those things I want you to think about. You have 30 trillion cells. Every single one of your cells has a different tune. So very similar to guitar strings, and each guitar string has a different tune. So your heart cells have a different tune than your small intestine cells, than your thyroid cells. They all have different tunes, and it needs to stay tuned up. So that's frequency. What happens to cells is, like we talked about, so much interference on today's planet that a lot of our cell groups will lose frequency and lose their tune, and then they can't do their job. So we use all kinds of devices. We have devices even for home, where people can use devices like this, and they can reset their frequency to cells. If I want to reset, my healthy pancreas, I can reset my pancreas right now. It's amazing.
That is awesome.
Yes.
That is absolutely amazing. Why are autoimmunes often sensitive to aggressive protocols over time?
Primarily because their body they have weak cells. And when you have too many weak cells, it's hard for your body to tolerate anything. And chances are, if they've conventional route before coming here, they've been bombarded with lots of medications that have masked symptoms but not fixed anything.
What happens when the nervous system finally receives signals it doesn't need to defend against?
So what ends up happening is the body starts self-healing. That self-healing in the body just continually goes up, 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 better connected to the cells. And then there's other components that we do, not only just the light energy, but light energy. This thing is optic, and it's got light energy to all your cells where it should. We want your body to be at least 85% connected. That's our goal with all of our patients, because it's literally impossible to keep 100% connected in today's world.
For sure.
Yes.
Why does regulation matter more than control at this stage?
So you have to use the right resources. I always tell people with any health condition, if you have any type of autoimmune condition, like right now, for instance, as we're doing this video, I first started practicing decades ago, and there was only a couple of autoimmune conditions, and now there's like that's right. I think the list is sort of 200. And they just keep adding names of conditions, but all of them mean the same, right? Dysfunctional cells, unhealthy cells in the body that you got to get connected, you got to get nutrients back to, and you got to do the right things to make those better.
Yes. We've seen public figures like Selena Gomez speak openly about living with autoimmune disease. Why doesn't success, access, or visibility prevent serious progression?
I think what we're doing here is kind of like a secret. It's almost like a hidden gem that nobody's heard of. And so that's why we're doing this, so that people can hear about what we do and how radically different it is, but it's all scientific and it all makes total sense, and it's all based on trying to get God's body to turn around, heal itself, and So hopefully people like her and so many others out there can get information that they need.
Yes, yes. In your own clinic, what are some of the most severe or complex autoimmune cases you've seen, and what patterns do they tend to share?
So it's crazy, but one case we saw was an 8-year-old who was relatively normal, had like a surgery and got a virus and then got an autoimmune condition and then was paralyzed. And so luckily they heard about us after going crazy path over all these high-level neurologists, hospitals, hundreds of thousands of dollars by the time they got here, and we were able to 100% fix him. So he's running around like nothing ever happened. And so yeah, we've had MS patients that were paralyzed that are fully restored. We just see a wide array, Crohn's, all the problems people can get, reverse. And then when people get like fibromyalgia, that type of stuff, neuropathy, we see so many of those types of cases. Even like diabetes, we've had success with diabetic patients, helping to restore to cells, remember, so the body can heal itself. And it's a whole thing. I feel like where we're presenting, people just need to be aware of it. And so one thing I didn't make a point of is a lot of this information, the reason people don't hear about it is because Google and a lot of these people censor. So we say some things out there, and that's why we're trying to make this more, giving people a higher level education on really how the body works.
Yes. What do both public and clinical cases expose about the limits of only a medication model?
So I don't think the public realizes, if they're stuck in the conventional model, that it's so limited, these conditions. But I want you to think of the big picture behind it. Big pharmaceutical company executives, they love these conditions. They love having anything permanent, because then they got you. And when they start you with one medication, chances are you're going to be on 2, 3, 4, 5. You're going to be headed for a 5-gallon bucket of pills in a nursing home. We're the reverse. We're just trying to keep your body as much as possible to not need things.
Yes, yes. If someone's been told they have one or multiple autoimmune diseases, what assumption needs to be questioned first?
So the number one thing they need to think about is their cells. The more cells get that are unhealthy in their body, the more conditions they're going to get, regardless if it's autoimmune. But when it comes to autoimmune, there are so many people we see that come in and have a multitude of autoimmune conditions, and we just have to do the basics. It goes back to basics when it comes to the human body. We talk about basic ingredients. We talk about light energy, where there's frequency, there's oxygen. That's the number one ingredient in a cell. There's water. That's a huge number 2 in the cell. And then light energy. Those are ingredients we focus on to try to get the body to heal itself.
Amazing. What keeps you working with long-term autoimmune cases that others tried to manage but couldn't resolve?
So literally the human body. It's a God body. It's designed to heal itself. And so those patients who have had those conditions for a long time, we've often seen them completely resolve. Now it takes some work, right? So in all fairness, I don't have a magic wand. I wish I did. But we have to go through, a working phase, a correcting phase with a lot of these people, and then teach them how to themselves. My best patients are the ones that don't need us very much. We go corrective care plan. With us, we take that nervous system that was disconnected into 30-something%, we get it to 85%. We teach them what to do at home, and they use certain frequency devices and things for home, and they don't need us as much.
It's amazing. What is the most damaging sentence an autoimmune patient can hear early in their journey?
That it's incurable, that you're going to have this for the rest of your life. You can imagine, say it's a diabetic. Well, you're going to probably get neuropathy. They're going to chop your legs off. Or it's a gut issue. You're going to have this for the rest of your life. Or if it's a thyroid issue, you're going to have it for the rest of your life. Or if it's the 8-year-old that was paralyzed, you're going to have this for the rest of your life. Or if it's just a lifelong of swollen joints, you're going to have those forever, and it's going to potentially spread into other areas. So it doesn't have to be that way.
Not at all. Well, that is it for today. Thank you, Dr. Cormier. This was an interesting talk. I think that we learned a lot for sure.
Thanks so much. If this conversation sounds like you, and if you really resonated with it and you really understood and you really are interested in it, well, just know there's hope. There are things that you can do to help you with this condition that don't involve medications. And they're simple. They're things from home that we have through a company called Body Charters that we set up. So we have all kinds of resources and methods and techniques you can use there. But if you want to take things deeper, you can come to the Nerve Health Institute, come to our clinic, and we can address things on a much higher level to be able to help you with this condition so that you can live your life and enjoy all the things that you want to enjoy.